All right. Welcome, everyone, to this week's magnificent Nym community call. This is the 22nd of August. If you're watching live, if you're not watching live, it's likely not the 22nd of August, but when we're recording this, it is. Today, I have with me a really fun guest who many of you, or maybe some of you, I'm not sure, since we have so many new community members, I'm not sure how many of you know really well this dude who's on with me today. I have Theo Goodman. How is it going, Theo?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
Big thanks for coming on. It's a super exciting call, so I can't wait to get into it. We'll of course talk about the apropos or the excuse for this call is the ongoing Nym art contest, but we're going to be talking about some other stuff as well. So can't wait to get into that. Before that, of course, I have to go through the usual laundry list of housekeeping items, which is that thanks again everyone for joining, much appreciated for being here live with us. Of course, we're keeping a close eye on your questions. So if you have any questions at any point to Theo or myself about anything that is being discussed, or maybe just a random one, you can leave them in the YouTube or Twitch live chat, or you can also go to the Nym Matrix server, where you can leave your questions without compromising your privacy and not signing into YouTube. Of course, the call is being recorded, so you can find this one and all of the previous Nym community calls on the dedicated playlist here on YouTube or on the live tab of the Nym YouTube channel. Now, with all of that said, let's get right into the conversation, Theo. Welcome to the call.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here. So, how are we going to start this?
I think we should start in like chronological order, because
Okay, cool.
the big thing about you, Theo, is that you've been around like longer than almost anybody in this company. So before Sudo, before NSL, before even Nym mainnet. So let's dig into the Nym lore. What was Nym like in the early days?
Nym was smaller, of course. So essentially, I was contacted by Harry to actually, like, some of the first messages were. So I worked for a company in London called Proof of Work. It is a marketing agency for crypto projects. And actually, before I started working with Nym, Harry and George came by the office and were talking to Proof of Work about working together for the Mixnet. They wasn't really sure what the name of it was, I think, then. And long story short, that didn't work out. And I also stopped working for Proof of Work. Proof of Work just kind of like fizzled out. And Harry contacted me out of the blue and was like, Theo, you know, we need memes. We need marketing. Can you do Telegram? I was like, yeah, of course. I'm basically a Telegram expert. I'm on Telegram all the time. You have to also take into consideration in 2019, Telegram was the #1 crypto app for chat. Discord was on the scene, but it wasn't as big as it is now. So Telegram was by far the main one. And actually, I want to back up a little bit because people don't realize that I know Harry for a really long time. He's also from North Carolina. We're both from North Carolina. And I would just tell like a little lore, pre-Nym lore. So me and Harry have common friends in North Carolina, activist friends, let's say. And it just so happened that Harry was in a band and I was in a band, and we played at the same benefit concert for the Zapatistas in Chiapas, Mexico. And his band was a punk band that sang in a pirate language, so really weird. And my band was a noise experimental band called Attentat, which is also kind of crazy, which means like attack. And I gave him a art object. So it was a small box wrapped in black electrical tape with the cassette inside it. but you had to but you can't get to it. You have to unwrap it, and then taped around the box was this really huge firecracker. So it looked like a bomb, what I gave him essentially. Uh, yeah. And the point I want to make with that, why I'm bringing that up, is of course, when I made it, it was provocative. But when I look back on it, you have to think, so art and culture are really important because it brought us together. We wouldn't. And Harry always, a lot of times, brings this up when he introduces me to people. He says, "Hey, this is Theo," and then he'll remember, like, Theo gave me this bomb tape a long time ago, And so that's kind of a funny lore. And if you think about it, like I said, when I made that tape, I didn't think this exactly, but that art that I gave him is way more powerful than an actual bomb, because it opened up, is just the whole thought of that symbol could be used in a different way. And I think that kind of lends itself to our conversation today. So that's why I brought it up. Nym in the early days was, like I said, much smaller. You have to think 2019 summer was not a bull market yet. It was still recovering from a bear market, so it was not a bull market yet. So the 2017 bull run happened. 2018, 2019, still bear market. A lot of hope, a lot of, but you have to also give it some context. Nym, at the very beginning, didn't have a white paper, didn't have a token, did have Binance backing, but there was not really a lot to talk about except a lot of scientific papers and the concept of Nym. You know what I mean? Which was great and solid, but people just entering Telegram, what's the main question? Where's the white paper? Where's the token? How do I buy it? So I answered those questions a lot. Eventually we had a light paper, which was good. Like, we have a light paper for some things. And then soon after, we had a testnet that was launched at Chaos Communication Congress in Leipzig at the end of 2019. Then, guess what happened? COVID. So a few months later, COVID happened. So it actually shows how strong of a project Nym is, because you have to think, Nym didn't have a ton of funding and survived the whole COVID thing, and during COVID, it was a complete bear market. The markets dumped. Everybody was afraid. It wasn't exactly the best climate for asking for investors or for anybody to buy anything. So we survived that whole period. The team got really small, and small in the sense that I did Telegram, Twitter, newsletter, and maybe random PR things, like trying to get us published articles, random whatever other tasks too, just one person. But it's a smaller company and a different ecosystem, so that was possible to do. So that's like some short old Nym lore.
Okay, we have to go back a bit further though to the pre-Nym times. How was Harry before Nym? You've known him for how many years?
I'd say I'd know him over 20 years. Let's say estimated over 20. Similar, he hasn't changed that much. Very enthusiastic, always organized. Back in the day, more organizing different activist things. Part of random research projects for random internet things, like at universities. So doing academic stuff. Semantic web he was involved in. That was a big topic, I remember. And that kind of project fizzled out. But that was a really cool project about searching for the internet a different way than, for example, how Google search just like scans the web. So semantic web was a big thing he was interested in. But a lot of things haven't changed, except that he's had to learn how to become a CEO. So that has changed. But just imagine, him not having to be a CEO. He was part of different VPN projects, Rise Up. I forgot the name of the other VPN that he was a part of. But so he's always been in, privacy has always been a main topic for him. and it relates to a lot of things what he's been involved in. So that makes complete sense. The evolution to me.
Absolutely. Now, maybe from these like early days, from before Nym, Harry and some of the rest of the Nym team forming this project that we now see. It took several steps, right? You people are gonna remember that that our core team, the founders and everyone else are hardcore academics, including Harry, including Claudia, including Anya.
Yeah.
So then from there, to fast forward to today, you were gone for a hot minute. You were busy with other stuff. Now you rejoined us this year.
Yeah.
And what changed? How would you describe Nym? What are the big changes that you're seeing?
The team has gotten a lot bigger. The team is really high level. Like everybody is really high level on the team. Like every position, I think. Of course, you have more departments now. But I think the same has changed where a lot of departments work with each other. So it's a lot of cross-pollination. But we have more clear departments, more clear managers. So it's become more corporate and scaled, which is good, and you see a lot of crypto projects struggle to even do that. So I think it speaks to the quality of Nym and the quality of people that Nym has been able to scale, has been able to, professionalize even more than ever a lot of its activities. I mean, here, look at the community call. So let's talk about the community call too. So, which is really funny. So this is really professional looking. We've got dual screens. We've got, a guy in the background helping us with technique. So I did the first community calls. It was just a thing I thought of. And what I did, you might not know, is I just did it in Telegram itself. So Telegram added a voice chat feature. And every Friday, I just set a countdown in the voice chat and announce this is the community call. Go ahead and get your questions. And I basically did an update of whatever we were doing that week, essentially a quick update. And sometimes when we had we had just launched a test net or other things, and there were a lot more questions, about the test net, about getting it to work, what updates are, what's up with the public sale update, et cetera. Sometimes we had a lot more, and sometimes it was just general updates. Sometimes we had a guest from the team come on and give some, technical knowledge or some other updates. But that's basically how the community call has evolved. So it evolved from a voice chat on Telegram to this highly professional community call. So I think that's a good illustration of how things have changed.
Definitely. Now, on the note of the community call, I can add some additional context because obviously since you passed over to me, I've been doing the community calls. They were super stressful at first because I remember my first community call was also on Telegram, I believe. I did a few on Telegram as well. Then we moved to Discord, and then we started live streaming. I had Claudia on, massive mind, an exceptionally deep thinker and like a really, really high level academic. And to me, it was really intimidating. I was preparing for a week, I was super stressed out about it because how can I even, I'm not in the same league as this person. How can I even, have a proper conversation with them? But then it ended up actually really good. And I realized that not only are people at Nym great academics, but they're also great people. So it ended up going really, really well, actually. I remember that. It was really stressful for me. Guys, if you listen back to the recording, don't listen back to the recording, okay?
Yeah.
Now moving on to current times a little bit before we get into the art contest, which I'm really excited to talk about. What's your role today? What kind of stuff are you up to?
On Nym, I'm doing social media, and I think you could say I'm doing culture, a little bit of everything, marketing side, essentially. So that's my role right now. So sometimes I'm in the tweets. Sometimes I'm probably replying to you on Twitter. Also, everybody follow us on Warpcast. We really need to get a following there. Find the link. Let's see. I think we're just Nym. We are. I'll confirm right now. Yeah, we're also Nym Project on Warpcast. So please follow us there. And those are some of my.
Saul, if you could dig up a link and drop it in chat. There it is. Thank you
There
very
we go.
much.
Great. Yeah, please, everybody follow us there. And so I have a new initiative. The new initiative is the art contest, what we're calling the art contest. So you might have seen it. And essentially, I am trying to help communicate what the mixnet does, what we're saying, so signal to noise in a visual way. And since I come from the NFT world, I'm leveraging, the people from the NFT world to do this, and also at the same time talk to a different segment of people that we don't always talk to, because we talk to a lot of people that are already down with privacy, right? And so a lot of the NFT people are also, most of them use VPNs or have a VPN and use it sometimes, right? And all of the ones I've talked to personally, when I personally DM them, they're like, "Oh, great topic. I love this," but they're not in our community right now. So it's a bit of outreach, how to visualize some of the concepts that we're trying to communicate. And at the same time, of course, we want engagement, and it's part of marketing, but I'm trying to do it in a very honest way and not in a very shill way. And I think that's coming through.
Definitely coming through. I really, really like this initiative, especially because of the topic that we're digging into with this one. So maybe let's talk a little bit about noise and privacy, and why this became the. Maybe there's going to be future ones of these guys. That all depends on you, depending on the engagement and the types of submissions that we're getting. But for this first one, we're seeing noise and privacy, right, as the concept that people need to like visually represent. Why is this? What's the deal with noise and privacy?
Okay, so basically, to just break it down, the noise is the cover traffic. So if you want to get really technical with things, I mean, you could say the shuffling of packets is a kind of noise too, definitely. So the shuffling is noise, and the cover traffic is noise in the mixnet system. That's confusing to people. I mean, we've heard it so many times. To us, it's understandable. A new person says, "Oh, I want to use Theo, what's so special about the NymVPN?" Well, it's the most private VPN there is. Well, why? Well, it creates this noise and nobody knows what you're doing. That's pretty good. That sounds good. And that's actually what it does. So the Nym mixnet actually generates noise as part of a feature, and that's what separates it from other privacy systems, whether that be Tor or anything that's lacking cover traffic is going to lack this randomized noise. So that's why we're trying to figure out ways to show that. And it's also a very interesting exercise, because how do you visualize privacy? Because privacy, you shouldn't be seen. So we have to kind of come up with these concepts, whether that's in a dark forest, whether that's shadows, whether that's pixelated things, whether that's randomized static. There's different ways to approach it. So this is all, an experimental way to try to do it. And also, I want to point out that, like I was telling Sudo before this started, I can't think of, I'm in NFTs and art, I can't think of another company that has taken an initiative, that this kind of open call asking for artists to make art like this, that's not already an art focused project. Sure, galleries do it. Sure, whatever different art initiatives do these kind of open calls all the time. That's even traditional galleries do open calls all the time. But a project that's not related to art directly doing an open call is a little bit unheard of. So we're really breaking new territory here, and I hope this cross-pollination can really, make an impact in getting us new users, of course, but also, explaining these concepts on a higher level and really talking about them.
Yes, that's an excellent point, and this is what makes it very exciting for me as well. Now, I'm gonna guys, your questions are being seen, but one of them I want to bring up right now because it's very relevant. The rest of them we'll probably just address at the end during the Q&A part. Wait a second, it was right here. Yes. So this one from Alex, can you give a sneak peek of what you and Rob are up to now? Just because we're talking about the concept of noise, let's drop some alpha on people. Some of you may already know this, although we're not really advertising it yet, but Nym is currently going through a rebrand. So the visual language, the concepts that we're using, all of the stuff that you see as the Nym brand right now is going to change in the near future. I'm not going to share more details. You are going to find out on these community calls once it's time to find out. But now you hopefully see, dear audience, how the concept of noise ties into this, because one of the concepts that we're playing with, it's not a fact yet, but one of the concepts that we're playing with to make a part of this this new brand identity that we're going to have is noise. So this is why it's a very timely contest right now, because it also aids our processes of thinking through, this concept of noise and how it fits into like an easy way of explaining both what privacy, but also what sets apart Nym, the Nym network, and NymVPN from the rest of the competition. Anything to add there, Theo?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, how, like I said, the noise is the cover traffic. The noise is something you can hide in, and the noise is created when we say privacy loves company. The company of everyone in the network is making the noise. So you can imagine you're in a crowd, and in a crowd you're safe. Kind of like how the zebras, when they run and the stripes blend together, that's essentially what, in a way, what we're creating in the mixnet, and how we can be private.
Exactly. Getting back to the contest, what should someone do if someone's hearing about this for the first time?
Sure.
And they are like, oh yeah, I have some ideas about representing the concept of noise and privacy. What should they do? How do they submit? What are the rules?
Rules are very straightforward. You just have to follow Nym Project on Twitter. You have to retweet the open call, and you have to just post in the thread. That's all you have to do. There's no limitations. It could be an NFT you minted. It could be unminted artwork. It could be something you've already made. It could be something new. So it could be something you already have. That's totally fine. We're posting the link in the chat now. That's all you have to do. So tell your, all your friends or whatever. And yeah, it's very straightforward.
Excellent. So really looking forward to you guys' submissions. What's the deadline for this, Theo?
The deadline is Monday the 26th. So it'll run on Monday the 26th. And then after that, the Squad League will start voting on the winners.
Excellent. That's an important part, guys. I know a lot of you who are listening are Nymsters, Ninjas, and Shinobis. Ultimately, Squad League participants will decide who are going to be nominated and also who is going to win. So make sure to keep an eye on our channels, because your role is going to be very important in the contest.
So now, I just will say real quick, Khalid asked, what happens if you don't use Twitter? Just make a sock puppet account and use it for this purpose. For now, I don't have an easy solution. I wanted to keep it really simple and straightforward,
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And everyone can see the submissions. If you start having different channels of submissions, it gets really complicated, messy. So we just have one thread, make a sock puppet Twitter account, connect to Twitter, connect to a random email provider using NymVPN beta. So you're private, and set up a sock puppet Twitter account. It's a good task for you, Khalid, to submit like that.
Yeah, but Khalid, I also want to offer, if you really don't want to create a Twitter account, I totally understand. That's a valid perspective for multiple reasons. So if you want, I can post in your name and also make sure to point out that it's your work. That's also totally fine.
Awesome.
You can also tell the same to your friends. Feel free to hit me up on DM. We're already talking anyway, so just let me know if that's what you would want.
Yeah, so you can participate. Someone's asked, anyone can participate. The role of the Squad League is just to vote on the winners. That's all. Yeah, Nymsters. Sorry, Sudo, I want to double check. Nymsters are part of the voting Squad League.
I think so. I think so. Yes. These details are still being figured out. So Theo and I are sticking our heads together and figuring these details out. Everything will be communicated before the contest is over. So don't worry. I think there's no reason for Nymsters not being able to vote. So yeah, feel free.
Cool. Yeah, so we've got a lot of cool. Let me just share screen real quick. Just a second.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Let's see the submissions, because we already saw some pretty damn cool submissions.
We did, yeah. So now that we've been talking a lot, now let's talk about some of the visual we'll see. So we have, here's So we have anything, so Darko, anything like this, we could say like, well, what's here? Well, he kind of took privacy in a different way, but it's still pretty cool. You can still see the circles. Maybe he's alone, solitude. So you have this kind of thing. This one by Coldy. So people don't know, but Coldy is a very famous artist in NFT world. Let's see, he has 60,000 followers. This is more about Facebook, YouTube tracking you. He made this back in 2019. I'm showing some of these to kind of just show the range of interpretations.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Yes.
You're saying something important. I want to point this out to the audience. You don't have to create necessarily new work for this. If you created something earlier that you feel like is relevant and fits the topic, then feel free to post that as well.
Right. Exactly. You might have something old. No, totally. You might have something old. So in 2019, Facebook, the whole Facebook thing was more of a big topic, So I think that he made that during then. And yeah, this is pretty cool. So this is more like obscuring patterns, obscuring patterns. That's MixNet also obscures patterns so that you cannot follow them. This uses, the mask that we've all seen. Pretty cool stuff. I mean,
this is really dope.
There's over 60 submissions. So I'm not even going to be able to go through here. We've got women NFT, adding some noise to the female figure here. This one's about surveillance from Empress Trash. So you have so many different ones. I actually really like this one from Encapsulated. Very like minimalistic, representation of some noise. I think that makes a really cool statement. How this is a very, straightforward one. Okay, and then this is probably my favorite by Ilian so far. I'm a little biased because I know some of these artists, but I'm not part of the voting, by the way. But I think this is really cool, and I know that he's hand drawn all of these patterns on a tablet, and I think it's really cool. It kind of has some MixNet vibes, kind of random noise. Really cool feature.
Really dope.
There. Yeah, really dope. And then you have more like, different interpretations of it, like this computer room. This one's really cool. So, I mean, you could do this for so long. We could go through some of these. I'm trying to just scroll quickly because there's so many different ones. I really like this one, even though it's kind of silly. I don't know what's up with the brain maze thing, but maybe that's the maze is kind of like how to go through the MixNet, sort of.
I really like some of these. These are such excellent submissions.
Also really nice. Yeah, and some people just kind of took an image and made it noisy, but it's also a different interpretation. I actually have no idea what this one has to do with our project, but you get that sometimes in open calls. Very simple submission. Here's a nice colorful one, also made a few years ago, but it has some of the same pattern thing that we were asking for to add noise to the signal. Also, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with it. Sometimes you get those in open calls, but the majority really have been on point. Let's see here. So yeah, look, there's so many good ones. Here's also a really nice one, So we have.
Ooh, I love that one.
Yeah, the dots.
No, that one up. This is also kind of good, but one up. This is I think this is really nice.
It's also nice. Yeah. So you see, like these are going to speak to different people. Subjective. Art is very subjective, and how you interpret being anonymous, how you interpret how the MixNet should look, how should you visualize privacy. We're talking about some of these topics. And I think, there's a lot of different ways to approach it. Here's a funny one that kind of looks like the Joy Division cover. Also really cool. Let me find. Here's more of a, traditional. I can't. This is almost cubist a little bit. Almost a cubist painting.
Yeah. and on the level of symbols, this is really excellent when it comes to like representing what you look like, you know, your traffic or your patterns look like on the left, and what happens when, or maybe actually no, actually it's the other way around. Maybe the shapes are the what hide you. You know, the shapes are what the mixnet does to your traffic, and then the straight lines are the are your unprotected traffic, maybe.
Could be. It could be. It could be that you see the figures when you decrypt it. You know, however, you know what I mean. Like when you have the key, then you see the figures. Before that, it's just lines. You know, on the right side. That's kind of different ways to interpret it. There's a lot of, or something like this with the different shapes of faces. So we've got really tons of really good submissions. So like I said, over 60.
And there's still incoming, folks. So keep an eye on this thread because there's quite a few amazing pieces here. All right, so Theo, let me ask you a question about what made me. I didn't realize I'm gonna ask this first, but now looking at the promotions, looking at the submissions, it occurred to me that these days with generative AI being where it is, you know, and being as accessible as it is, there's really no way to exclude or to even tell whether something is generative AI. What's your take on this? Does it matter if it's AI? If it's good, it's good, no?
If it's good, it's good. You can kind of tell, to be honest. But I guess it's getting better. It's harder to tell in some cases. I think it can be good. AI art is totally a legitimate art form. You know, there's an argument about that. That's like a whole nother thing that's going on right now in the art world about AI and is it art if you use AI. I would say it's similar vibe when the sampler as an instrument came onto the market. So even now I sound like such a boomer. Like back in the day, before computers, you had to have a device that sampled other parts of music and you made it into a song. And people said it's the same arguments we're hearing about AI art and art. It's not AI art because all AI art comes from some other source, essentially, whether that's ChatGPT scraping the web, and also the visual sources for this AI come from somebody else's art originally. So I look at it the same way as using a sampler, essentially. You know, it's essentially doing that in a more complex way. As far as the open call, that's fine. You can do AI art. I think that, in my opinion, what it's doing is that it's making art that's really good stand out more because there's too much low effort AI art out there. You know, so something that someone really made with a lot of effort and editing, drawing, whatever tool set you want to use is going to pop more in a sea of same looking AI effects. It's kind of like, I compare it to auto-tune, you know, when every song has auto-tune, you get really tired of it. And that's kind of how AI art is sometimes, where it all has the same effect, kind of the same vibe to it. And you're like, oh, great, another song with auto-tune. I don't want to hear that. It's just the same song. Could
you don't,
be good.
Theo? Why? It's very good. I love autotune. I'm just kidding. I don't.
I'm not against autotune per se, but you have to do it really well, you know, because it's so overused. So I think that's what you're getting with AI art.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I'll add here about the AI topic, it was really eye-opening to me. I had Pablo on, our designer, the community call, I think in March or something like that. And I was expecting when we were preparing for the call, I brought up the AI question, and I was expecting him to be sort of against it, you know, given the whole question of, you know, intellectual property and how AIs are trained on other people's yada yada. You all know this by now, I think, so I'm not going to go into this much more. But He was not. He's like super for it. He sees it as a tool of art. Basically, just like you said, Theo, you can get creative and prompt AI really, really well to achieve something that is very unique, or you can just not be creative. And just like if I put a canvas in front of you and some paint, you can paint something great, or you cannot. In a similar way, maybe AI can be seen as canvas and paint, and it probably will be seen as canvas and paint in 10, 20, 30 years. It's just very new.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So what other topics do we have here?
I have the next topic if you want to move on, because there's
Let's
something
move
I
on.
really want to pick your.
Pick my head.
Okay, so you are one of the. Is it fair to say you're one of the OGs of the NFT space, or you've been around in that space for a really long time? Am I right about that?
I have, yeah. Yes, I've been around a long time. I'm a rare Pepe scientist, so I'll tell you what that is. So Rare Pepe was a project that started in September 2016. Of course, Pepe the Frog already existed, but it's essentially different remixes of Pepe the Frog made on Bitcoin, made using tokens on Bitcoin using something called Counterparty Protocol. And it is, or looking back, it was very influential. But back then, it goes back to what someone put in the title, silly JPEGs. So you have to think that in 2016, that was a time of the first ICOs. You had like projects like Dental Coin or other blockchain buzzword kind of projects. And I think what we showed is that you don't need utility. That was like the big thing. Like, oh, what's the utility of this token? Utility token. Utility token is that it has a really funny picture and you can collect it. And that's all you need. So I think that there were projects doing NFT type things before us, for sure. We are not the first. But we really like hammered it home, I think, on this whole thing that you don't need any kind of utility like Dental Coin or something like that. Also, just really quick, because it could be a whole show to itself. Important is that Rare Pepe was not a top-down organized project, so it still has some of the decentralized ethos in it, somewhat. So the so-called scientists are kind of, you can imagine them as kind of shepherds of the project. And we had a directory, so Rare Pepe directory. You can look at it, rarepepedirectory.com, and you submitted your art, your Rare Pepe, for inclusion in the directory. So we didn't make all of the Pepes. We made some ourselves, but we never had custody of any of the Pepes that people made, and we didn't get any royalties or any cut of any of the sales. So we didn't get paid for being a scientist, just if we made our Rare Pepes and sold them. You see what I mean? And so by that, we had hundreds of artists from all around the world making these Pepes. So in that sense, it really spread out the community in a new way that didn't totally exist before that we know of. So that's kind of the main thing. And so just saying that, I just got back from Pepe Fest in South Carolina, which was at Beeple Studio. So Beeple is a really well-known artist, and he wanted to do something Pepe themed, and he invited us to do, us and other people from different Pepe communities to do talks and art and different things there. So yes, I've been around the NFT world for a while. I can talk for any other questions about NFTs, whatever you want to know.
I know the fundamentals about NFTs, but I've never been involved directly in this space. So it's like
I would just say there's some fun. Okay, I'll give some like real basic observations, some things that definitely have happened that you've seen. Still to this day, I will tell, quote, normal people something about NFTs, and they'll say, "Isn't that over? Aren't those gone? Isn't that done with?" I'm like, "No, it's definitely not done with."
This would have been one of my questions. I'm super interested in hearing your take.
Definitely not. I think that's actually one of the things that really excites me about NFTs still to this day is throughout the current bear market, at events, at NFT events, they're full. They're full of people still. Okay, maybe some of them have slightly less, but generally speaking, they're pretty full. And you have a lot of new, at least you have a lot of new artists that want to make NFTs. Sure, you could say the buyers are not there or they're like smaller collectors, but little by little, you see more and more. Also, what you see in the NFT world is segmentation of the market. So it used to be, and some of the events are everyone together. So collectibles, gaming, fine art, let's say like art NFTs, all together. Okay. Whereas now you see a lot more events that are very much art based, very much collectible based, very much gaming. Like I have nothing to do with the whole gaming NFT. I mean, I know about it, but I'm not even in that at all. You know, I don't know people from that, but I know a lot of the art and a lot of the so-called collectible, and they kind of merge together sometimes, you know? So I think collectible, I would just call that like more of the fun ones, like Rare Pepe or something like that. But they're definitely art too. And the art ones, I would joke, oh, that's fine art. You know, this is like traditional. I come from the traditional art world, and now I'm doing NFTs, which is cool. I would just make fun of both of them equally. But you know, it's growing. It's just you just haven't seen the big sales that create these media headlines echoes yet. But just yesterday, I just read the tweet. Sotheby's auction just ended, and it had pretty decent. I was surprised at some of the sales, for example. So you have the big auction houses are still doing their auctions. I'll talk shit about Sotheby's all the time, but they're still doing their auctions. There's still interest. So it's definitely not dead. The technology of it, cat's out of the bag. People are going to be, whether you like it or not, people are going to be using blockchains for these random collectible JPEG things. It's not going to go away.
Yeah, I tend to agree, even though, again, my understanding of the NFT space is kind of superficial, but my understanding is that the big NFT summer was, you know, just the usual bubbly, sort of unsustainable level of interest. It was driven to a large part, my understanding at least, is that it was driven to a large part, to a large extent, by people who can't really spend a lot of money they made in crypto because of tax reasons. So they were basically like spending it on NFT
Sure.
until they moved on. But the tech, like you said, is there, and it's really funky technology, which can serve some real world, even beyond art. And let's talk about that next. But like it serves some actual tangible real world value. So I don't see NFTs going away.
I think there's just there's a general concept that I think people should always remember. We see it in crypto, but it's not only in crypto, is that you have to remember scammers are experts at finding value and extracting it. So if scammers are around your ecosystem, it's bad because you want to prevent them from scamming. But in some ways, it's a good sign because if there was no value being created, they would not be there. So you having to combat scam. So people like you, yes, totally. The NFT run in 2021 was unsustainable. Is mostly from stupid PFPs, profile picture ones, the apes, all that dumb stuff. I don't like most of that stuff either. I talk shit a lot about. People know me in NFT world for talking a lot of shit about things, being very critical, and so definitely unsustainable from being that. But that's how a lot of new technology and new things are. They have bubbles of interest, whether that's from bubbles of interest, from that's unsustainable, from that scammers. You're going to always have those same repeating things, you know? But what I see is still a lot of interest in creating. So creators, you know, those are the people that really lay the foundation for anything, any new kind of technological innovation, whether that be creative or privacy or anything. I see more and more of those in the NFT world, not less and less. So that's why I'm still I have no Bored Ape Yacht Club. I don't like Bored Ape Yacht Club. I think they're stupid. I think Bored Ape Yacht Club is kind of frat boy vibes that is really fucking annoying, essentially. So I think that's just. So I'll just do a quick shit talk. I did a tweet thread. I will. about NFTs. I will post it and you guys can read it, but I'll read some of it right here live because it'll be funny. Here, I'll put it in the private chat and you guys can link it. But basically, I made a tweet thread the other day. I made an engagement thread. Which blockchain is the most wrecked for NFTs? Ethereum. The vibes of frat boy sausage fest bored apes and D-gods are long gone. The fake news of CryptoPunks being the first NFTs will not have immediate echo. OpenSea, Blur hated. Marketplaces wrecked, closing left and right. Vitalik has a girlfriend. CryptoPunk struggling to get bids at Sotheby's means that guilt by Yuga Association might not be punk, or the appropriation of the word punk in order to sell license agreements to ride the false narrative of first ever. I'm sure you all understood that. Some of the best 101s live on ETH. Wrecked factor 5. So I just go through a few blockchains. You can read it and you can see my like hot take on the current state of some of the blockchains and the current state of some of the things. But yeah, like I said, NFTs are not going away. There are lots of really shitty NFTs out there, but that goes with any kind of technology.
The canvas you put in front of people, there's going to be some bad art on it, especially when maybe there's some financial incentives and some hype involved, right? But some amazing stuff can also be created. And before we move on to Q&A, I wanted to ask you about the future of NFTs, because this is also something me as a sort of like novice, I hear, all the like revolutionizing effect that they could have on a bunch of things like intellectual property, tokenizing things, all of that good stuff. How do you see the future of NFTs inside and outside of art?
I see more and more art, so whether that be fine art or collectibles being used for NFTs. I could see there have been experiments with things like Starbucks or some other corporate NFTs. They've definitely, I think Porsche did some NFTs. So there definitely are going to be some corporates out there. But I see the future as a way for content creators to put art out there, whether that's for their fans, whether that's for their communities, different ways of doing that. I think that privacy in NFTs is a crazy topic because it's kind of antithesis. It's like, how do you do that? How does that work? So we'd have to have a zero knowledge proof that you own the NFT essentially, and you could show that you own that NFT. That would be the way to do it. Right now, it's the opposite. It's kind of a status symbol. It's like, hey, everyone public, I own this thing. I own a rare Pepe. So I think in the future, we will have more zero knowledge proof style NFTs where you can do a private Secret Network has done some things on that, where you can have a certain privacy aspect to the NFT. I think that's really important. Intellectual privacy, I think it's a mess. I mean, we might have some way of doing it, but it's like such a hard topic to do, I think it could be, it could be a way to transfer intellectual property. I think that right now, as it stands, I don't think blockchains are really great at collecting royalties. So that's something so I think that royalties are at odds with bearer assets. So because the nature of a bearer asset, you have to be able to send it permissionlessly, and that can always be a sale. So you can't distinct. And so what happens is when you build a royalty system, you end up slowly building a walled garden around the NFT bit by bit. And so you see these people build these systems, and essentially what they're building is this like complicated walled garden. And then what happens is you build the walled garden, those walls are then the new points of failure that can be manipulated to get around the royalties. So you have like things like you're familiar with whitelists. So you like whitelist what smart contracts can interact with that NFT, but then nobody wants to make the whitelists. So they trust someone to make the whitelists. And so it's just, you see what I mean? It's just a never ending cat and mouse as far as, so royalties has been something I've written. Everyone wants to check out, just Google Theo Goodman Medium. I've written about my opinion about the whole royalties thing. So IP and royalties, I'm skeptical about. Could work. What it has shown is the following. People that want to pay royalties to artists, when they resell the thing, can make a public statement about it. And they have been doing that sometimes. So if I'm a known collector and Sudo, you wrote on your NFT, like on the marketplace, it has 10% royalties when you resell it, and I resell it, and then I say, hey, I'm paying my royalties, even though it's not in this smart contract that I used to sell it. People have been doing that. And just quickly, this is a topic in art, and it is a problem that still is really difficult to solve. So let's say, Sudo, you bought a rare Pepe from me for $100, and then in 5 years you sell it for 100,000, and I don't get any of the 100,000. And this is a problem for all artists everywhere. In traditional art, the collectors come in and buy it for a really small amount of money, like $1,000, and they sell it like at Sotheby's for $1 million, and the artist can't live. You see what I mean? So that's the whole thing. We're trying to figure out how, in my opinion, artists can do that by making editions. So they make like not a one of one, they make editions, and they hold back. They sell like half of the edition, so 50% of the NFT. So you're kind of fractionalizing it essentially. And then you hold back those. You say, I'm not going to sell these for 3 years. So then if you do sell it for a lot on the secondary market, then I still have some of them. So that's how I would tell artists to approach this.
That's great, actually.
Yeah. So that does happen. That has happened. And I think that basically what this is doing, and you see this just in crypto, and you see this with and also the things, it's making it, there's making less friction for people to participate in these systems,
Yeah. That's I guess the whole crypto space in general, right? I think before we make a big move into like the public consciousness of all the normies and everyone else, we really need to, the overall UX and accessibility has to improve significantly. And I think that's a general problem for the entire space.
Sure. Should we hit some of these questions?
Yes, let's hit some of these questions before I can already see that we'll probably run out of time. Are you fine staying over by about 10 minutes or?
Sure. Just let's go. Excellent questions. I'll do fast. I'll go fast.
Okay, good. First question is from Rocio. Thanks for another great question, Rocio. Theo, when did you meet Sudo?
That's a really good question. In person, just recently, right? Or did we meet in Prague once? I'm like really like puzzled.
I think I first met you now in Margate, but I checked. So, yeah. I checked when we first DM'd each other on Telegram, and it was the February the 2nd, 2022. That's back when I started doing stuff for Nym.
Okay. But I saw you in chat, we had interacted in the main chat, like maybe replied or something. I definitely saw you in chat before that. So that's that question. So we met recently in person.
Yes, exactly. Finally, that was a long time overdue.
Yes.
All right. Next up, also from Rocio, question: what does it mean to you to be a cypherpunk, and what is your advice for cypherpunks in 2024, 2025? Great question, Rocio.
Okay, great. I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to do something different. I'm going to say what's missing from cypherpunks is what's so interesting about digital sovereignty and being able to be private online if you don't know how to physically defend yourself. So I think we're missing a pillar in the cypherpunk. The cypherpunk trifecta is permissionless money, permissionless peer-to-peer cash, network level privacy, and encrypted messaging is like the key trifecta. Okay, great. But if you're you should know how to protect yourself. So I think we should have something like personal defense or like physical, self-defense. Add that to make a superfecta, because who cares if you can defend yourself online if when you walk down the street you are an easy target.
Yes, that's actually a very original answer, and I don't disagree. So, Rocio, you heard it here first. If you want to be a cypherpunk, do the trifecta, which is network level privacy, encrypted messaging, and what was the third one? Transactional privacy?
Self-defense. As a peer-to-peer electronic cash.
Yeah.
Encrypted messaging, network level privacy.
And then bonus? Self-defense. Yes, pick up boxing or something like that.
Anything.
All right, next up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Next up is just a comment from Alex. I have to show it on screen. If I get enough requests, guys, maybe we'll make it happen. Petition for Sudo to run next call with autotune. We can make it happen, guys. Just say the word. All right. Next up, also from Alex. Thanks for the great questions, Alex. How many board API Yacht Club do you have, Theo?
No, none. Never had any. I think they're like frat boys. I don't like their community. Rare Pepe.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I never engaged in that stuff either. All right, next up, also from Alex. Thanks for another great question. What do you think about official sports NFTs? I guess the collectible ones.
I think that's kind of cool. Their Hot Shot, was it Hot Shot? No, Top Shot and NBA was last year or 2 year 2021 where they went off. I think it will have a future. I think that it's such a clear evolution from physical trading cards to digital trading cards. Has a lot of potential.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Okay, this one is from Khaled. Thanks for the good question, Khaled. What is your suggestion for a newcomer to join the crypto community and the world of Web3?
My suggestion is to try to be non-custodial from the beginning. That means make your own Bitcoin wallet. Try to do this. And I will say something a little controversial. Try to make a peer-to OTC transaction with someone you don't know. That means you meet a random person in a cafe and do a cash buy. Not if it's illegal, don't do it. But just for a little bit of money, 50 euro, 100 euro, 100 bucks. Just do it because this experience, which a lot of people are not doing anymore, is missing, and it's an aha moment. And I think if you ever do that, so there are ways of look around, research it. There's ways of doing it, finding people that are selling in person. But I think, yeah, if you want to, like, you know how you have like belts in karate or whatever, white belt, whatever. If you want to get to the next belt level, try to do it in person, OTC transaction. It'll be a real aha moment for you.
That's actually great. I'm gonna add to this as well, Khaled. I think if any of my friends would ask me this question, I will tell them what the fundamentals are. When it comes to analyzing a crypto project, right? I would look for actual technology, not just like big words, but actual tech that hopefully already works or is, like legitimately in the process of, getting close to being working. That's one thing. And always look for actual community. These things, I think crypto, there's a lot of hype in crypto. There's a bunch of, unfortunately, there's a bunch of garbage in crypto, but there's a lot of gems in crypto, a lot of great communities in crypto, not only around projects, but there are also some autonomous communities which form around certain topics within crypto. For example, there's a group called Privacy Guardians. We're friends with them. They are really, really great people. Some excellent conversations are happening in their Telegram group. They don't have a project. They are just people who are in the Web3 and privacy space and discuss stuff over there. So always look for actual community and look through the BS and look for the fundamentals, which is like actual technology that actual people at some actual point will start using, and then you'll have a lovely time in this space. All right. Moving up, next up from Janice. Thanks for the good question. When is your own NFT collection launching? Will it be on Nym chain?
I've already launched several NFTs. I've launched them mostly on Bitcoin using something called Counterparty. I also have some on Ethereum that I've launched. I've even launched some random ones on Tezos. But just follow me on Twitter and you'll see some of the NFTs I made. As far as the Nyx chain, I don't know right now if we'll do anything NFT related, but who knows?
Yeah. There are no current plans, to be completely clear. There are no current plans of doing NFTs on Nyx, but who knows what the future may hold. All right, next up, and this is the last question I'm seeing. So if you have anything else that you want to tuck in here by the end, then let me know, and we're gonna ask it. So, what does your Twitter profile picture mean? Is it a plate, an eye, or both? A black hole, a hypnotizing spiral? What is it basically? Can we maybe show it on screen?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let me get it ready. Okay, here we go.
Thanks for the question, Rocio, by the way. As always.
So I will say, it is inspired by something that I'll have to do another share called a record strobe. So, and Alpheus has T in the middle for Theo. So a record stroke, I used to have a very old logo that I made, and I worked together with an artist to make, and he helped me make this one. Let me find a record strobe for you really quick. So a record strobe is a record that you play, and it helps you test if the record player is playing at the correct mechanical speed. Let me show a good picture of this, and then I will share it. Getting really technical here. So look at, like, for example, this. Do you see that? See that one?
Took off your...
What about now?
Yeah, there it is. Yep. Now we can see it. Yep.
And you see how,
yes.
and so if you were to zoom out, so it's, I would say it's inspired by these kind of test records. Okay. And if you play that, it kind of looks a little bit like my logo slightly. So that's what it was inspired by. So, but it's all of what you said. It's a black hole. It's hypnotizing. It's everything all together.
Yeah. This has been your profile picture ever since I've known you, basically. So on Telegram, you've been using this for a really long time. Yeah. And also on your blog, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I use it a lot of places. Yeah.
I don't see any more questions. So actually we did kind of finish on time. There's one last thing to do.
Sure.
Actually, before we do the one last thing, I want to thank you, Theo, for jumping on. This was a really, really interesting and fun call. So maybe let's do it again at some point.
Sure.
And also, community, it's up to you to engage in this amazing art contest that we have going. I really enjoy this initiative that we have. We hope to grow it in the future to much bigger things. So make sure to show interest, because this is how we can collectively think about visualizing different concepts together. So keep an eye on our channels, because we're going to be announcing all the details about voting and nominating, all the systems, how you can participate, all of that stuff. So keep an eye on our channels. Or you have still until the 26th, which is Monday, to submit your own art. So big thanks again, Theo, for joining, and also for launching the contest itself. The last thing, of course, that we have to talk about, as you guys know, we have the tradition of giving you a POAP to commemorate you participating in this event, which we're going to do today as well. You've already seen some of Theo's work in our POAPs. Those are mostly memes. Hopefully you enjoyed those, the recent POAPs with some dank memes. But let's talk about today's POAP. I'm going to show it on screen and sort of spoil the surprise for you guys. This one was created by Theo, and he sent it to me to make it the POAP. What is this about? What was the concept with this one?
The concept is the same as our open call, signal to noise for anonymity, and to kind of show the obscuring patterns, the noise of the mixed net, how it might be to try to decide how you can't decipher it, but there are some kind of patterns in there perhaps, but it's so noisy that you cannot see. And so it's very interesting that you asked, like, I think you asked me what was the data that I used for this, and I did use data. So what I do is I use sound, so music. I make a track, and then I put it through this software synthesizer that changes the track. It changes the track into a visualization of it, and I did that, and then I just completely spliced and cut up and made it very random in different sizes to make the real noise of it. So there's already some noise in the visualization of the sound, and then I cut up the pieces of that a lot, and made this art like that. So that's basically how I did it.
Okay, last question. I'm going to show you.
Sure.
Album cover confirmed? Question mark.
Could be. It's your chance. Now you could be the first ever to collect it. Hey, this POAP could be life-changing. Hold it. Don't get rid of it. Don't lose it.
Exactly. It is definitely life-changing, because it's a Nym community called POAP, which are all very much life-changing. So what people need to do to claim that amazing POAP that Pablo, that Theo just explained, is to go to the usual link. You will see it in chat in a second, which is nymtech.net/go/POAP. There it is. And what is the secret phrase for today, Theo? It was also chosen by you. Do you remember?
Sure. Yeah. Bring the noise all together. bring the noise, no space.
Just like that. Yes, bring the noise, guys. We're looking forward to seeing your submissions to the contest. Huge thanks again for jumping on, Theo. This is really fun. Also,
Sure.
big thanks to the community for the amazing questions and just for hanging out with us. Make sure to claim your POAP and see you on one of these calls very soon. Actually, next week. Same time, same
Okay.
channel. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.